Hey, it's your buddy Brooks, your long lost friend, checking in again. But I want to thank everyone. Make a point of thanking people for reaching out with the different ideas and products. And this all out here is just test right now. It's in its infancy stages for me. I'm just still learning with hammocks, even after being at it for what feels like a while. But like hang tight, worked with me and getting this kind of infancy level quilt, a point of reference, if you will, established. Kind of sewed these loops. I saw these loops were on a lot of things. And I have to thank Hammock Gear because I called them and they were prompt to answer the phone and call me back. And we talked quilts and different things and let me change something on my order about some other stuff and get more of this from Hammock Gear. I've been using these connected to my Xped Slit Line Extremes, kind of a, I don't know, an ultralight version of the training wheel slap strap type of thing. And that's another thing, different products. Like I've been using a lot of these button links. I like toggles too. It's just I found these are easy to get. And gathering it, this came up the whipped end. I'm just showing you where I'm at. I thank everybody for helping me, but I read the instructions on Hummingbird. Even though this Grand Trunk test hammock got this $13.99 just kind of to test it out. I know I say that because I got a lot of you I want on these websites that build and make hammocks, and I'm so thankful that I've got a few in the pipeline. I'm just testing to find out what works for me. It's such a test. But they said to gather it through the sewn loop and then pop the fabric through, and it looks like what I call the brain on the war bonnet. Others call it a whipped end or a man bun, but it's interesting. That's a question I've had. Do you all do that, or do you just go with the sewn channel and run the rope through it, or the loop, the continuous loop, whatever, your suspension, and that's it? I guess Hummingbird recommends those extra steps of putting the brain in there, but not to waste time on that. I've been trying longer hammocks like this Grand Trunk test, and I've got a test incubator quilt Hammock Gear that comes up a little more, and I like those quilts with the cup. I thank Teton for reaching out, and there's a couple other companies I want to check out their quilts. Simply Light, I had a beautiful woodland hammock with the woodland quilt where I just couldn't figure out the length or thickness or what I was doing or if I needed an underquilt, and I'm still in those stages where I just can't get rid of my pad. For instance, even if I could sleep more comfortable in a hammock without the pad, and sometimes I do, like I went camping with my nephew and there were no hammocks allowed. I was in Portland or somewhere, Oregon, a while back, and I would think that wherever I was, I ended up in the woods, but there was a campground and there'd probably be no hammocks allowed. So then I'm stuck just the pad and the tarp. And that brings me to the tarp. I'm thankful, like Dutch, I've been running these simple diamond tarps. I like what people are doing. I do see the point of just cutting the tarp off here and having that other shape. I just like the simplicity of the two lines going out, but I did see that Dutch had a tarp with, it might be an ASIM. Don't get me wrong, I like the diamond, but I could try the ASIM. But it has like an extra couple little buckles on the side, and I've been getting success for that. Do you all have to go to the ground sometimes when they don't want you to have a hammock? But I like these, and I like the tarps that come with these. I've had these tarps for a long time. I've got about 3, and they're pretty sturdy tarps. And at about 12 feet, they cover my smaller hammocks. This is kind of pushing the envelope. They call this an 11-footer, and I'm getting used to sleeping in it. On the diagonal, no pad. I mean, even with the Blackbird I've got off Deadman's Adventures, the new used XCL Blackbird, my feet hit the foot box. and I feel like the insulation to the foot box presses against the net. And same with this, the insulation just kind of presses up. I don't know, on the with the pad, unless you use it, you don't sleep as diagonal, you sleep more straight, so your foot box is up in the little cavity of the hammock. So I'm so far digging the pads, with my kit. It just makes me shrink everything, like keep the quilt to a minimal and everything. And I have a lot I want to get off people, and a lot of questions out there still. But this is just showing off what's simple that can kind of go into this smaller bag and work. You're in along the road in the middle of the night. You only have 2 stakes, 2 lines, and you have the pad if you need to go to the ground, or you're hiking a long ways and your back just needs something different. You want to float, you're down by the lake or the ocean, you want to blow something up and float. Whatever, I'm having a hard time getting that pad out of my kit, but I won't take too much of you all's time up. I see I'm at 6 minutes. I just do want to conclude with thanking people. Wilderness Innovations. Have you had a Wilderness Innovations poncho hammock? I don't know. Great guy. Offered to pick me up at the bus stop, go camping and stuff. I have yet to. I ordered one poncho, and it didn't come for a long time. And I called him. And he's like, "Oh yeah, the papers were just stuck together. I'll get it out." And then we talked a minute on ponchos, and just great friend on the phone. Wilderness Innovations, and he's going to get me a different poncho. I feel like I almost can maybe, great, I'm talking to who owns the business, I'll follow their advice. But then a week or 2 went by and no poncho, so I'm like, call again, and he's like, "Oh yeah," and I probably had a half hour. So thankful. I love making good friends and connections on the phone. I'm most thankful for that. But then kind of changed it again, so I got 2 ponchos. I mean, we just weren't sure which one would work. But then again, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll get to shipping it. I got to do my taxes today." And I'm, so thankful for people. He's like, "Yeah, I ended up in the hospital a couple times," and I get it. So I'm understanding about these smaller operations that you don't have a huge staff. You're gonna. A paper gets stuck together, you gotta do your taxes or end up at the hospital. But I was just curious if any of you guys have those Wilderness Innovations ponchos and Osneys. And I'm a smaller hammock kind of guy. I'm trying this for you guys, these bigger ones, to see what you guys are doing out there with more Eastern style hammockers, these big, longer banana style hammocks. But me, I'm coming from a super small 9 foot by 4 foot sub 6 hammock with a kind of a pad to add some structure and maybe wrap it with something like this, and it all fits into something like this. But I'm seeing what you guys are talking about. I feel like those Blackbirds, now that I have one, it's luxury. You stake it out, you spend some time at the campsite, your campsite's almost like a base camp type of thing. Where I'm coming from, you're biking down the side of the road and it's pitch black and you need just someplace in the scrub brush out of people's way to set up your hammock, and you're getting on a airplane or a bus and you need your bag to fit in the overhead compartment type of thing. So it's just a different way of doing things. The longer the hammock you have, the more tarp you need, the more you need I like the underquilts, but I have to say they don't pack like this. I mean, at least for me, unless you really freaking scrunch them in the bag. I'm learning though. You guys all I love those Livin'Large lazy slug tubes and stuff where they just come out and scoot the whole hammock into a tube, and it was slick. I don't know what their backpacks looked like at the end of the day, but it was slick. I miss those guys. Wilderness Logics.